Hi, I'm Elysia, the host of Horsepower Empowerment Through Connection. And here with us today is Therese Cooper, who lives just north of Sydney in Australia, in it's off the Central Coast, actually, in what's called New South Wales. We've been really lucky. We've gotten to have a couple Australians hanging out with us of late, which is quite lovely. They happen to be one of my favorite people as a culture because they're always so charismatic and bold and full of authenticity. And so today we have a slightly different interview. So Therese is not associated with the program. Therese is here to share her beautiful story of empowerment and how her personal horse helped to change her life. So Therese, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thanks, Elise. Thank you. Thanks for
You're
having me.
You're very welcome. So can you tell us a little bit about how, what's your why? What brought you to horses? How did your story begin with horses?
I grew up just always wanting to be around them. And I grew up actually in New Zealand initially. And I was living in country towns. There was always horses around and just always felt drawn to them. For a time, I lived in a town which was a big horse racing town where the Hobbit village happens to be these days. But
I love it.
and I had horses around me. There was always fields and things, and I would go walking through farms and just find animals, and I was seeking out the horses there. So I had this dream, and as a 10-year-old, I was begging for a horse.
Of course,
and I was
that's what 10-year-olds do.
Yes, 10-year-old girls. And I watched all the different horse movies and TV shows. Yes, I was one of those girls. And so living my dream was my mum telling me that, yes, I could have one when I could afford it myself. Well, you know what? I was on a mission to make this happen one day. And I knew that there was a horse that was coming. And it's been a very special horse that has actually arrived in my world because she's taught me so much. She's taught me so much about horses, about life, about myself, and about how I can also help other people too, and horses. And it's like this world is now starting to come together. I've just had this amazing talk with Elise, and I can now see that there's things that will all, there's a common point here. There's a point that brings it all together. And I wasn't sure where all that was going to come to, but so my story is that I got this horse. She's an Australian stock horse, and for those that don't know that breed, they put together the thoroughbred, the Brumby, and an Arab, and they have all those amazing characteristics. They've got...
Oh, what's a Brumby for people that don't know out there in our viewer audience?
Okay.
I love Brumbies, but not everybody might know about Brumbies.
Okay, so the Brumbies are basically, they came from the very first time that settlers came, white settlers came into Australia. They bought these horses, the Whaler breed, you might know about, that are a European horse. So these horses basically got, used for helping people here, but then also a lot of them got loose.
Oh,
and
wild.
and so they've become like the Mustangs of America. We have the Brumbies of Australia.
I love it.
So, and they're really agile, beautiful horses, and they need to have a lot more respect. They are such an amazingly, a national treasure, and we need to do more of that too. Yeah. But so with the stock horse, they have the thoroughbred for speed. The Arab is highly intelligent, really agile, and the Brumby with that wildness and everything, it just adds that courage and strength to them. So they're an amazing breed to have. And I felt drawn to this one when I saw her on a platform for selling things, and what drew me in was her eye. Okay, I fell in love just looking into her eye on this before I even met her, and I knew this was going to be my horse. And so she's this beautiful little black creature. She's full of love, but she also came with a whole lot of hidden trauma that wasn't disclosed.
Yeah.
So my journey has been about finding this trauma, finding where the jigsaw, putting the story together, because I didn't get told anything. And so I see that she's basically been beaten by men. She reacted to little children even, which I think she had been overwhelmed by, and this led to some abuse that she'd had. I've seen this play out and seen these little key bits which put together the story. So in getting this horse, I've had my own story as well. And so I've come from a family which was not emotionally functional. And so we understand each other and we get each other and we do our best. So bringing that together, what I found was one day when she was kind of a bit frustrated, there were some things going on that she was not understanding. I wasn't understanding them either. And I was trying to connect with her this particular day, and she just kept turning her bum away from me and walking off. And I'm like, oh, what's going on?
Why don't you like me?
I'm out here to see you. Like, why are we not connecting, right?
Yeah. Don't you know what we're trying to do here?
Exactly. And so, and I'd got books and stuff on, and some videos on like helping me to learn how to ride again. Been a long time since I'd done any of that, and lost a lot of confidence. And so I'm having this moment with her, and I heard this message in my head as loud as could be, like somebody spoke it, and it was about something that I didn't know was going on, that she was upset about, and I totally got the message, and I went, oh, wow.
In your own personal life, something that was going on?
Yes, but she knew some stuff that I didn't know. So, like, this proves to me, this moment, that they know what we're talking about. They know what we're feeling, okay?
Feeling that energetic frequency.
Oh, they totally read that, okay? Then they are so honest, and their honesty is that they will actually show that to us. They will show us how they're feeling. And, the ears flick, the tail swish, all that kind of
non-verbal communication.
All the non-verbals there, but they'll also let us know, like, you're not actually in a good space today, and I don't want to know you.
Yeah,
okay? Or
it's true.
Yeah.
You have incongruence because you're like trying to show something, but internally it's very different. They don't want,
all of it. Yep. And so I think in a horse that's got trauma on board, they're even more sensitive to what's going on. They are reading every little moment. Anyway, so in this little journey that I've had with her, I've had her now for about 2.5 years. And initially, like, I can see there was some stuff that I didn't know that created it, but I got bucked off. In a moment, my head was looking at my foot in my stirrup, and I'm like, oh my God, no, I'm not going down this way. Somehow in the bucking, I've managed to get upright without even recognizing I'm upright. I'm now on my hip on the other side of the horse. So that really scared me. I lost a lot of confidence.
Understandably so.
And I wouldn't get on her. No?
Yeah, I feel like any person that's had horses, I'm like, if you haven't been bucked off at least once.
Yeah. It's part of their story, then yeah. So,
almost always, yeah.
And so in that, like, I wouldn't get on unless there was somebody around. I was really quite nervous of her, which obviously then compounded her nervousness.
Right.
And so we had
definitely feel that
challenges to go through. She didn't like waiting for things, and she'd get all like,
antsy,
moving around and agitated. And then I would get all like, oh my God, she's going to buck again.
And then it would just be like this circle.
Yeah, a bit of a circle, okay? And even at one point, like, this is so much how much they read us. I was going to have just a quick ride with my partner before I was going to be heading off to work.
Right.
He settled up my horse for me, and do you know what? I just got on her like I was getting into a vehicle to drive. I didn't even say hello.
You didn't like check in with her at all?
No, I didn't check in with her at all. And do you know what happened? As I'm getting on, I'm only on one side of her. She reared up and I went flying.
She's like, you're being rude. You didn't even
I
say
was
hi.
rude. I was incredibly rude, okay? And I totally got that. I went, oh my goodness, I totally learned. I got hurt by it. I learned the lesson. And I went, wow, I didn't even check in with her. This is a being. This is a sentient, feeling being. And
Yeah,
I
not a tool.
didn't say hello. Exactly. So this really brought me to and this message that I'd heard in my head previously. And I went, wow, wouldn't it be so amazing to talk to our horses?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I found this book, and I'm just going to show this. It's going to be backwards because of the screen, but it's Margaret Coates.
Oh, no, we can see it just fine. It's not backwards.
Okay. Margaret Coates, Horses Talking, and it says how to share healing messages with your horses in your life.
I love it.
This is the book.
Go ahead and pull it back a little bit more towards you so you can see more of the book. But beautiful. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, no.
Okay,
Horses Talking. No, that's lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's always good to have more resources for people to expand their range.
Yeah, and so this resource was going to be my book so that I could actually talk with my horse until I opened the cover, okay? Inside the cover, it tells you that your horse is your mirror.
Ah.
So take a look at your horse and what your horse has got on, and this is what you are inside as well. This is what you're carrying. This is your journey. This is your lessons. This is your empowerment to find your way through. And what I've found is that my horse and myself have been doing our journey together.
So
and
beautiful.
What I found is I've got less scared of her when, I found my big girl pants when she would be kind of misbehaving, and I'd be like, instead of like, oh, she's going to buck, I'd be, no, you're not. And we'd have a conversation like that, and she would be like, okay, you could just feel like she just got to let it go. So yes, we were communicating, okay, and there was no need to be aggressive or unkind or any of that stuff that you see some people feel they've got to resort to, okay,
right, because they're missing that connection and the grace.
The more gentle, the more calm that I have been is where I have gained the most ground with this horse and with myself.
That's beautiful. Okay?
I've been, a bit of a perfectionist, driving myself all the time, kind of like, lack of confidence. And so as we've got confident with each other, I've now put myself on video on my Facebook, which I wouldn't
so proud of you. You let your ego go and you just got to be your authentic self. That's beautiful.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't even have put myself in a photo. Okay. I'm on the other side of the camera. Right. So been there, seen, and now done a couple of lives. And
here you are being interviewed.
Thank you.
And you're going to go on YouTube and it's going to be amazing. So proud of you.
Oh, thank you. And so now this is all part of the journey, is finding ourselves, and our horses are such an amazing part of our journey and us of their journey as well.
Yeah.
So a horse that has come to you for a reason. And what I've also found has come to me for a reason is I got to be a part of a community that's amazing community. And what we do is there's a device called Healey. And so, excuse me.
You're doing great.
Tiniest little device, but it has got 25 years of technology behind it called Time Waver, if anybody wants to have a look at that. And with this Healey, there's a disclaimer there that it doesn't heal. You can't make, claims and things about it. But through the technology, the software that is built into this device, which is just run through your phone app, so easy to use. And you can have little connections that you can put onto yourself, put onto your horse. So I've been treating me and my horse. We've both, funny enough, had the same physical injuries too. We've got our right knee is a problem. And so I've been treating her knee and my knee, And
I always found
also
that interesting as a body worker doing as a licensed massage therapist for people and horses and dogs. Like I always love working on both the horse and the rider because they do tend to have the same areas that are bothering them because the horse
oh,
compensates for the issues within the rider. And so then you fix one and it oftentimes will help fix the other one.
uh-huh. Yeah.
It's really
Interesting.
interesting work. And so just being aware of how our biomechanics affect the biomechanics of the horse when we're riding them. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. Yes, I was reading somewhere where even if you just tilt your head a little bit forward, you're actually 10 kilos more is what your horse is now carrying.
fascinating
So our head
because
not
you're
being
not
in
in
alignment.
alignment and like, yeah, gravity.
Yeah, so even if you stand up straight and just lean forward, you can feel how much heavier your body feels to you.
Fascinating.
And so you've changed that for your horse as well. And
Physics.
our
I love it.
head,
I love physics.
yep, and our heads are so, I don't know the exact weight of the human head, but when you've got a sore
14
neck,
pounds, I think
you
it is.
know that's a really heavy piece of thing up there. So, where was I? Oh, so yeah, so we both got the same
I'm sorry.
physical
Yeah.
injury.
Yes. Yeah. Both of you have the right need and that you just get to share your story of how the Healey has helped you and your horse in your journey
Yeah,
with that.
so I bought this Healy for myself as a personal thing, and it's got so many different layers in it. It's physical, it's emotional, it's mental, it's spiritual. It's
Fascinating.
a holistic device.
Different
So,
resonance and energetics.
um, and my background is of a nurse, and so our training back in there in the 80s when I started was about the whole person, the holistic approach. Okay, we've kind of veered down a systems approach. You know,
Yeah.
somebody has this thing is wrong with them or this thing is wrong, but there's a person, there's a whole entity around this. Okay, and
Hmm.
so what I like about this is it brings the body, the mind, the spirit, everything back together to a place of balance. It
Yeah.
uses electromagnetic frequency, and that's how it operates. So we are also an electromagnetic being.
Yeah, we
And
have the electromagnetic field around our whole bodies, and just like the horses do, and the horse's heart is larger
yeah,
than ours, so their electromagnetic field can encompass ours and actually help us come into congruence and affect our heart rhythm. So like it would make sense that
yes,
in theory that you could have a device that resonated and could key into those different things. It's just kind of like
totally.
when you use light therapy, that you have the different frequencies for like infrared light and how people line up with that to help increase the rate of healing for like bones and muscles. And I used to use that at a chiropractor's office that I worked at, not the Healey, like a different device having to do with the light therapy. And late and the cold laser rather. And so we would put the cold laser on different frequencies, and I would see people that had sprains and strains and everything else. It would increase their rate of healing by 50%.
Wow.
It cut it literally in half by using the laser light therapy. And I was always just so blown away by that. And it was like my first introduction of how you could key into different frequencies to help facilitate the healing process in the body.
Yeah. So the light spectrum, yes, it's got a frequency, and everything has a frequency. As Einstein has this amazing quote that energy is everything. Okay, and it's all measurable. So the science behind this is that frequency is measurable in hertz. And
Right.
so that's why also each emotion feels different, from anger to fear to happy. You know, they all feel different because they actually have a different frequency.
Yeah,
And all our
fascinating.
body systems all actually have their own frequency as well. They've got their own signature. So this device is actually able to measure those, has a microprocessor in it, and is actually able to also deliver back the frequencies that then bring everything back into balance
Well,
on
that's
all
really,
those different levels.
yeah, that's really interesting because I mean, like all the different elements have different frequencies, right? And like
Yep.
the molecular structure of something and the different ions that are in something, electrons and protons. And while they're like tiny amounts of electricity and whatnot, like everything in our body has a different molecular structure, right? Because we're made up of the different elements. And so they can be like small amounts, but it's really fascinating stuff.
Yeah, so within this, the app has different levels and different programs in there. And so there's all sorts of things in there for meridians, for chakras, for different body systems, for different emotions. And then there's even a scanning ability in there. And so I've used this to scan my horse and myself, and I've done a few other horses and a few other friends. And what comes up in when you get into it, it's like we're an onion and there's layers, okay? And
Yeah, absolutely. That makes
with the
sense.
chakra scan, you actually get the emotional layers, and like people are just blown away. And even what I've seen with my horse now, I had one day where she was in season and she was cranky pants and spooking at it, a leaf falling down, or even if a leaf was thinking about falling down. And so it was quite funny. Excuse me.
No, it's fine. So for people who don't know what in season is, it's like when a mare is ready to be bred. Like,
Yeah.
and so
Hormones.
she's a little extra hormonally charged.
Yep. Yep. So she was in this space that day, and this was only a couple of months ago, and she was kicking her food bucket over. I have a little chair that I sit next to her and while she's feeding, and she was getting ahead and she was just pushing that over, and I picked it up and she'd push it over again.
Cranky about life. She's like, listen.
Yep. She was, yep. And she really, all she wanted to do was just go back in her paddock and eat grass. That was really clear. And I thought, okay, fine. I'd done this, put this thing on, this Healey on, and I'd done a scan as one of its modes that it can do. But I hadn't had a chance to read it. Anyway, so I just put it back into the paddock. Yep, fine, go eat grass. That's what you want.
Yep.
And I got in my car and got ready to go, but I actually opened up the app and was reading what the scan was. And so now she's in a paddock with 3 geldings and she's a mare.
Right.
And so what came up, and when she spooks, she wants to just take off. So what came up for her was, I am not enough. And that was the trauma. That was the first layer, was her trauma. And so what she was doing was she was actually kind of misbehaving and not connecting. And it was like she was setting it up for me to just move her on to the next home, because this is what happens to her. I just get moved on. I don't get to stay. I don't get to be loved. I don't get to deserve to be in this nice place that I'm in. And so it was like she was pushing me to make that happen. And I was like, this is where it all comes from, is this feeling of I'm not enough. And so I was like, oh, wow. And then the next layer was sexuality came up. And there was, with that, I thought, yeah, okay, she's in season. And the feeling of being trapped is that she was also in a paddock with 3 geldings while she was in season. And I went, I'm sure they hassled her a little bit. Yep. And then there was a loss of control. And when she spooks, she wants to run. So she's kind of, I can feel her, she's trying to work for me and trying to hold herself in. But at the same time, I can feel like she also wants to still run. She's in this place between 2 places.
Yeah.
And then also I'm having to hold her back as well. So everything tied all in together. And I sat there for a moment and read into her deeper layers, which gave me information and connection and communication with this being on a level that I could only imagine getting to otherwise. Yeah. And I sat there and I just went, oh, bad human. And I saw her for who she is and what she was going through and what was her thing, okay? And so I had an apple that I had for me, and I went back into that paddock and I gave her this apple. And I said, I am going to be your best human being.
It's beautiful.
Yep. And so the next day I showed up and she was still in this space, not as bad, but I put on the Healey and I put it onto an emotional well-being program. And to begin with, like, she was kind of a bit antsy, and, there was a leaf falling and she was still twitching and carrying on a bit. But by the end of it, I was putting her rugs back on her. And at the moment, she's got 2 rugs because she gets really cold.
Blankets.
we're doing
Rugs in Australian terms and blankets in American terms.
okay, yeah. Cool. Good to translate.
Translation for like the rest of the world. I love you. Aussies have like so many random terms. I have more Australian friends, and sometimes I'm just like, seriously, like, what did you just say? Like, I don't even know what you're talking about right now. And then they have to like break it down for me. It's hilarious. It's
Yep.
like a different language. I'm just like, what? I know you're
Yeah,
speaking
exactly.
English, but I have no idea what you just said to me.
Yeah. So we're doing that. Is so amazing. Yes, and I came from New Zealand across here, and there's even a few words too. Like there was a couple words I had to let go of because they're kind of considered differently over here.
Ah, yes, you should totally call me on those so that I know not to offend somebody accidentally.
Yeah. Please, I'm like, okay, now I understand that word is like out of my vocab. Um, so we're doing
So
winter here,
funny.
so she's got a couple of rugs on, and so I'm being a good mama. I make sure she's not going to be. I've got up there one day when it started to rain, and she was just shaking. So I know she
Oh,
gets
poor
cold.
girl.
So she's got the two rugs, and I'm putting her rugs on, and as I'm putting on the clips that go around the belly to hold it, and I'm doing that up, and she's then reached around with her head to my back, and she's doing all these smooches all over my back
Oh,
and around my neck, and I was just giggling my head off. And
that's so sweet.
this is while she had this Heeley on, and
That's
it was the
the mutual
emotional.
grooming stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I had the
Bonding.
emotional well-being program on her attached to these straps that were around her right knee. And on that was the program, is the frequencies that she was getting was emotional well-being. And
That's
so
beautiful.
by the time I'd finished this, she was just in this really great space that she was actually even wanting to play with me.
Oh, that's
So
so
yeah, just
beautiful.
the shifts that I've seen it happen. And so with her trauma too, like even just going across 6 inches of water was like refusal, not doing it.
You're like, no, I'm pretty sure
Absolutely not.
that's gonna like eat me. It's like
No.
lava. Did you know that
Yep,
water
yep,
was lava? I'm pretty sure you need to know this.
yep. Yeah, that's dangerous stuff.
Dangerous
So
stuff.
on one of the occasions, I actually got off her and I stood on the other side of 6 inches of water. And she was like, no, right? And then finally she's jumped at the full length of the reins and almost took me out. I was like, oh my God.
She's like, well, if you're gonna make me do it, I'm just taking you with me. Like, this is like, I need to land on you because you're safe, clearly, and I don't know about the stuff underneath.
Yep. So in her panic, she really wasn't planning what she was doing, but like, this is that was her. That's how big her response to water was. That
Yeah.
without even thinking, she almost took me out just to get across. Anyway, so what I've been doing is I've been doing lots of the healing programs that are like emotional healing
Yeah.
programs that are within the frequencies, okay?
Yeah.
And this has actually allowed her to be calmer, more gentle, more receptive, and I felt like, yeah, we're ready to deal with this water thing now because I can't go on the trail rides because there's too many water things out there.
Yeah. You're like, I would like to not die. That'd be super great.
Yep. Because we went on one. We went on one a few weeks before I thought, yeah, we're ready. And there was this area where it's all quite muddy. And so there was where the horses had put their feet in, it kind of like stayed like these holes. And she didn't like it. Anything was a little bit boggy, didn't like that, even the bogginess of water. And then I just happened to see over her left shoulder, there's one of these big, like, where the hoofs come out and it stayed like a cup. There was water I saw water
Imprints and
glisten in the bottom of it. And the next thing she's done, there's princess leaped, seriously,
She's
all
like,
the way to the
oh.
other side of the track. And I'm like going, okay, I'm still on. I'm not sure how, but I'm still here.
Well done.
And thanks very much. And I was like, okay, right, we're not quite ready yet. So we did a bit more work. And then I thought, yep, okay, now I think we're good. And so we went down and to the stream, and we just on a lead and just got her. We finally got her to go in there, and she wanted to go, but we always made everything was her choice. We offered it, and then it was her choice. And then she actually managed to walk in, and then she was choosing where she wanted to walk, and she even walked into the boggier part of it where her feet sunk up to the hairline. I went, oh, we're making face here.
Look at
And
that.
so from that, I thought, okay, we're ready for me to be on her and to do this as a ride. And so what we did, we started at the edge of the water and then just doing some circles further and further out. And then I went from a distance away. And in this video that I've sent you, we're coming from where the trees were coming down, and she was in the paddock where there's a mob of 100 horses.
A lot of horses.
A lot of distraction going on. And there was 2 horses, one in the stream and another one just next to the stream. So these were unknown horses to her. So this is a lot for her to take on.
Sure.
And she, as she's walking in, you can see she actually like engages with the horse that's right in front of her, like chicken you out. Yep. And then we just walked through, and she was
so
calm, so gentle. And it seems like a nothingness, like a little baby stream, like really nothing going on. But for what her reaction was to 6 inches of water, this was amazing.
Yeah. You're just like trying to breathe. You're like, it's going to be okay. Like, I'm just going to keep breathing. This is actually happening.
Yeah. And when you talk about like the energetic being too of the horse, I've looked at, because this thing does chakras and that as well. Okay. So I was looking at where the chakras are on a horse. And if you see the chart, around the shoulders is, and up in that band is where the heart chakra is. Mm-hmm. So where we place our hands when we're riding is directly on their heart chakra. So
it's so fascinating. Like, I'd never actually really thought of it like that before.
Yeah, we're in connection heart to heart with them.
That's interesting.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah.
So this has been the journey that we've had, and I just think this is an amazing tool to have in my life, in her life. I've come a long way with it. As I said, I'm now doing this interview with you. 6 months ago, even 2 months ago, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Like, I feel so honored to get to have you. And I am, man, the level of vulnerability you brought this evening is just so beautiful. Thank you for like showing that in your most authentic self. And for people that struggle with vulnerability, like being such a beautiful role model for people and how they can show up, and that can be a safe space and inspire others to be able to take those steps of vulnerability, and how you've evolved and how horses have helped you to be able to grow and expand your range and overcome your trauma. And it's such a beautiful thing. And I feel so honored that you felt like you were safe enough to be able to express that here in the interview with me and my viewers this evening. Like, it's a really powerful thing.
Thank you, Elysia. It's really beautiful. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And on that lovely note, I think we will close out for this evening. And thank you so much. And we will talk to you soon. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen.